So, in this week's episode, paint. Woohoo! Back with the Harrier. So we fitted the wings, the tail plane, weapon stanchions, machine guns. So what we're going to do next is just sort the rest of the cockpit out. So there was a clear bit on the clear sprue. I've glued that into place with some PVA glue at the front. I've then painted the front of it with this, which is X25, which is a green clear coat. So when you paint it on, it makes it look like a green piece of glass, a bit like a targeting system. So I've just got to paint the sides of it so that it looks like it's part of the dashboard with a very thin brush, thinner than that one. Small brush, small brush. I've got lots of brushes that are new, but you don't want to use them, do you? Because they're new. But I might have to open a new thin one. That'll do. Give it a stir. There we go. And the next thing is get that palette out, stroke saucer up a bit. A little bit of PVA. Oops. A little bit of PVA glue, apparently. I'll put all of it on there. Give myself a cocktail stick. And the good thing about this stuff, so you get a little bit on your cocktail stick, across the bottom of the. Good thing about this stuff is it's sticky and it dries clear. So let's just pop the canopy on. I've pre-masked the canopy. So that's the canopy on, and we'll let that dry, put that to one side. We'll have a go at the rear canopy because I'm going to get them put in place, use them as masking so that I can paint the whole vehicle without worrying about it. So there is a plastic part that goes onto that bit, and that is C4. Have a look for C4. Assuming it will be obvious. C, A, D. This one. A, B, B. Here it is. Just in time. cut it from the sprue with the pliers. Give that a bit of a clean up. Cool. There's a lot to do on this, a lot to go wrong on this canopy because the Harrier has a very big open canopy, a bit like the Spitfire. That's quite good. Got to sit on here. We'll leave that there to dry before we do anything else, because that then needs to get stuck onto here. And while we're all waiting for that to dry, before we can start the actual painting process of undercoat and stuff, you can like and subscribe to the channel and push that bell button for notifications. Thank you very much. Gonna mask this canopy up now. Show you how I do this. Cocktail stick. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I do the old scrape it off technique. Bit of tape. Put the tape on. Following the lines. So use the side of the tape to follow the longest line. Bugger, that bit's come off. Right, now when that's on, I'll just use the cocktail stick to rub along the line. Then put a new blade in your craft knife and you follow the indent that the cocktail stick has made. Ta-da! Do that all the way round. I'll put one on the other way, so this is going to need going that way. And going this way. end of this is a bit strange because it has a piece of plastic. It has a piece of plastic. They're all plastic. It's got a piece of this fuselage. Excuse me. Is stuck to it, so you can just mask right down to the end, which is what I'll do now. And there we have it, masked canopy. But what I'm going to do now is glue that bit back on and pop it back onto the aircraft. Now, because I want to take this back off again, because even though airfix isn't built like that, I can fit the canopy up here, so we get a little bit of an open cockpit, which I quite like, because then you can see all the hard work you've put in to actually building the cockpit. And also I'm going to have the wheels down, but I'm going to use it as a masking technique. So all we're going to do is just slightly glue the back end, so that once we've painted it we can just tick it off. In fact, I may even use a bit of blue tack just to stick it down, because once you've got the first sort of level of paint on, it will stick. It might be a bit too much. You need a tiny bit, because it sits quite close to the canopy. There we go. So that's on there. Going to paint that now. No paint's going to get in your canopy, and when you turn it upside down it's not going to fall off. All I need to do now is find a way of holding this, which I'm hoping to do through the front there, so I can then paint it, and then I'll paint the front end a bit separately. I have made a massive boo-boo on this. When you take the cockpit, when you take the first part of the windscreen off, there's a little extra bit on the top. Now I thought it was flash, so I've cut it off, sanded it, fitted it, and then realised that it's actually supposed to fit in here. So not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. I could fill it, but it's going to be really difficult to sand. Or I might have a go at filling it, I don't know yet. But the first thing I'm going to do is get some undercoat on there and see how we go. Okay, right, I'll set my airbrush up so we can give this an undercoat. Got some cocktail sticks in the front, so we should be able to hold the jet quite happily. I've got my little stand out when it's finished, so pop it in there, let it dry. Now the undercoat I'm using is Vallejo's Surface Primer. I got this basically because it was supposed to be the same colour as Ghost Grey, which I needed for an American jet. I used it a couple of times and really didn't like it. I could never get it to flow out of the end of the airbrush very well. And that was when I had a dirt cheap airbrush. But I bought, now I've got the Harder Steenbeck Ultra. This seems to spray fine. I can heartily recommend that airbrush. It's not cheap. I think it's around £100, but it's not expensive either, because obviously they go a lot higher than that. It's sort of, I think it's Harder Steenbeck's lowest airbrush. But I've really liked it. It's nice and easy to clean as well. So let's get some colour on this thing. It's also a slightly filling primer, so it fills a lot of the gaps that you don't really want it to fill. The only thing I will admit is what I've forgotten to do is I've forgotten to cover the air vents. So what I'll do is I'll let that stop, and then I'll show you how we're going to mask them up, because I'm going to use a little bit of foam for them. So let's put that over here and clean the airbrush out. Okay, right, that's the rant about airbrushing over. And this is now primed and it's gone off, and literally it's been 10 or 15 minutes. It's a lovely day here in the UK, so it goes off pretty quick. Now the next thing I was going to show you was masking these off. Now this is an idea I've had because I've never painted a Harrier before, and it seems to me that it's a bit awkward. I mean, I've got to try and get somewhere in there white, but I might not even bother, I don't know yet. So what I've come up with is now I've lost my knife. Here it is. It's a cleaning sponge nicked from the wife, and I'm going to cut a little piece off. And then stuff it in there. Get my tweezers. Yeah, I can't find anything this morning. Like that. Okay, so it's in there. So that piece is going to get sprayed, but all the work you did on the fan, the ducted fan on the inside and stuff, I can't sort out getting that in front of the camera. All that work in there you've done is going to be masked. So marvellous idea, I thought. He says as when he pulls it out, it'll probably still be ruined. I think I might keep that in the old modelling drawer before she finds out. The nice thing is you're just going to be able to get your tweezers in there and pull it out when you're finished. So that's that done. Now the next decision is what to do about the front of it. Quite happy with the rest of it. I don't know. What do we do with the front of it? I mean, it's blatantly obvious there should be something in there, isn't there? It's not like you can get away with it. Don't know. Right. Let's. I need to go and find the. I mean, I'm going to use. I'm not quite sure what paints are, but I'm going to use, because it is. I'm going to use the late RAF colours set from camo, because it has the grey, the ocean grey, and the dark green. So I'm just going to check. Rather than opening that one, I might use the dark green from the. Is this dark green in the early? Yeah, so I'm going to use the dark green from the early. So, or do we open that at all, or do I grab the Vallejo one? I don't know, choices. Anyway, this is all bit of a waste of a video while I sit here talking to you about it. Anyway, what did we say it was? Not medium sea grey, no, it's the ocean grey. No, he's turned it from military grey to ocean grey. It's gone quite mad. Ocean grey, dark green. There we go. See, if I put some filler in there, I'm going to ruin it. I know I am. It's a shake anyway. Get this going. Nice these MIG ammo paints because they have that little ball in. But I have had someone before say that it does hinder you, but you always want to give the paints a good shake. Let's turn the compressor on so none of you can hear me talk. I bet any money you like you won't be able to tell the difference between this grey and the undercoat grey. Oh no! Oh, it's a little bit darker. Start with the underneath, I think. Yeah. One ocean grey harrier. No, I missed a bit. Wow, look at that. That didn't like the primer. Might not have left that long enough to dry. We'll leave that a little bit longer to dry this time, and then I might give it another coat, see how we get on. If not, I'll just have to give that a sand and run over it again. Start cleaning this airbrush out again. So as you can see, when we put the grey coat on, it has it's like a bit like there's some kind of silicone on there, right? So what I've got is a fine sanding sponge. Now the paint's tarred. I'm just going to give it a sand, and then we're going to give it another coat of the grey. I'll give it another coat of the grey, and that should be fine. yourself some gloves. Only a couple of drops. And you wouldn't even know that was a problem. Right, let's get back to doing some pre-shading, and then we'll put the... So sanded it down, give it a quick wash over with the grey. Decided to do the old pencil pre-shading. So just use your, you want to use like a really soft pencil, like a 4B pencil, and just draw along. Doesn't matter if you're accurate or if you miss or anything, just draw along your panel lines like that, so you get some neat lines. And grab yourself your cotton bud, give them a rub like that, and then they turn into like a faded line like that. I've done both the wings and some of the underneath stuff. All the cocktail sticks have fell out. That's a worry. Let me. But okay. And then all I'm going to do is give it another quick wash over with that grey colour before I can then start with the green for the camo design. So come back then. Right, so as you can see, we've got it all greyed up. You can still see the panel lines on it, look a little darker shades. And now I'm going to have a go at putting the camouflage on. I'm going to give this a go freehand because there's an awful lot of stuff stuck on the bottom of the wings, so I think it might be easier if I just guess about the camo. I've put enough camo on in my life to work out where it goes, so let's give this paint. This is dark green from Camo. Comes from a set of English camouflage colours. So just run some cleaner through the airbrush. Make sure that's all lubed. That's flowing nicely. And I've got the instructions to one side to give me sort of an inkling of where some of it should go. And let's give it a go, shall we? Turn the air down a little. Where to start? Oh, what's happened to my tail? Oh, that's alright. That's come out quite nice. Camera ran out there. I'll tell you what, the colours look so much different on the screen than they do as I'm sat here holding it. They're like a really bright green, but they're not. That's nice, that. Gonna stop that there. I would try and tip this back in the tub, but it's that's not the kind of tub you can do that to. Give us a, see if I can get the end off, because I haven't used as much as I've put in there. Right, so I'm just going to clean out the airbrush, and I'll have a look at what's next. But quite frankly, at the moment we're looking at letting that dry, giving it the good old-fashioned clear coat. Going to do that with the Tamiya clear coat X22, and then let that dry, and move on to the air ducts and the undercarriage.